Buju, wago shindigu migizi indodem, gazaga squaji mekag, indunjiba. Higher education in the United States of America will be under a kind of stress that it has never seen before. And although this environment is especially politicized in this day and age, the age of racial reckoning, what is often missing from a lot of the politically motivated discussions is simply an understanding of basic business and demographics. If you look at the Fortune 500 companies that were running the show in 1980, only half of those companies still exist. The other half went out of business. At the same time, the stock market has trended upward, ups and downs, but the general trajectory has been up. So I believe that this is what is happening and will happen in higher education too. Half of the institutions that are running the show today will either be acquired, completely transformed, or simply out of business. Even though the population in the United States will trend up and some of them will make more money than they ever have before. There are profound challenges. Education is more expensive than it's ever been. It is debt financed more than it has ever been, so much so that crippling debt has more and more people questioning the true value of an education. Now, at the same time, the data still bears out the relevancy and power of a college education. If someone has not finished high school, the average annual income is still in the $20,000 range. And if someone has a terminal degree, PhD, JD, MD, the average annual income is around $115,000 per year. But someone with such a degree is most likely to marry someone else who has similar credentials and earnings power. So the household income becomes $230,000 per year. It is a tenfold difference in earning power every year with compound interest over the lifetime of a human being. So education still has great power in the financial realm. However, as we look at the institutions of higher education, who will still be here and who will truly succeed, we have to take a look at our basic demographics in the United States of America. And this country is changing so quickly. Right now, when you look at the population in the United States at the present point in time, 59.3% of the population is white. But when you look at the younger slices of that population, it's a very different story. So right now, when you look at live births in the United States of America, the number is not 59.3%. It's actually around 52% of those births are white, and that number will continue to decrease. When you look at the demographics for the, kindergarten through grade 12 population in America, as of 2018, the majority of the K-12 students in America are students of color. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, if you think that's wonderful or if you think that's horrible. It really doesn't matter. That is who is here. It doesn't matter what happens with regard to immigration policy. Most of the so-called illegal immigrants actually come by airplane. Build a wall. And as you think about all of these things, for institutions of higher education, they have to develop a business plan and a deliverable that is palatable and desired by the students they want to recruit to their institutions. In other words, they have to think not just about what would prospective white students want to see at our institution, but what would the students of color also like to see? Because in the long run, they will be the bread and butter for the financial plan for institutions of higher education. So some of those institutions are lost in parochialism or caught up in politics and culture wars. And the ones that are banning books and shutting down professors and, jettisoning their, African American studies program or Indigenous studies program, or even the ones that are too slow to develop offerings like that. Those are the ones that are most likely to have declining enrollments, less excited engagement from their alumni database and donors, and are going to struggle financially and struggle in terms of recruiting and retaining a vibrant student population that will deliver the best business results. So the institutions that are positioning themselves with robust offerings in Indigenous studies, African American studies, and so forth. These are the institutions and the ones that are developing student support and exploring all of the things that will help not just with recruitment, but retention and graduation for those students. Those are the ones that are most likely to succeed going forward. And it's not a simple formula. These efforts can be cannibalized very easily. So, for example, after the murder of George Floyd in 2020, we saw a tremendous shift, not just in the education universe, but in corporate America. There were 55% more diversity, equity, and inclusion positions that were created in response to that one event. Since then, 1/3 of those positions have been eliminated. And even today, 76% of the diversity, equity, and inclusion specialists in America are white. It seems bizarre, like it couldn't or shouldn't be, but that is exactly what the demography and the data tells us. To me, it's kind of like having an all-male gender equity team. Well, there's some problems there. You're missing some really vital perspectives, and the optics aren't so good. And it's the same with an all-white racial equity team. Missing vital perspectives, and the optics aren't so good. A lot of institutions feel pressure, like we need to do something on DEI. But if the efforts are tepid or temporary, it does not deliver the desired result. And the institutions that want to succeed are the ones that will make serious investments in diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of its manifestations and will stay the course. And those ones will succeed. I've seen this happening right before my eyes where I work at Bemidji State University and at many other places. Arizona State University system is now only 7% funded by the state. And we are on the same trajectory here in the state of Minnesota. There is no way to develop a sustainable higher ed business model based simply upon government financial support or, external interventions. The institutions themselves need to deliver on educational experiences that speak to and support, are informed by, and serve students who are Black, Indigenous, and other peoples of color. Miigwech. Thanks for watching today. I'm Anton Treuer. Let's keep in touch. I'm active on social media, and my website has lots of information on my books, speaking engagements, resources for the Ojibwe language, teachers, and more. Miigwech.